officials, they kicked off over the weekend, and we know when recruits start taking these visits and they start seeing some things, their recruitments can change. That's why I got Director of Recruiting Chad Simmons to talk about 5 momentum-changing official visits from the past weekend. And let's bring in Chad Simmons. Chad, we will start with 5-star wide receiver Caleb Cunningham. He went out to the Plains, and coming off that visit, he named Auburn his leader. That's a major shift. But my question to you is, do you think this Auburn momentum can last? Because we know there's a lot of competition for Caleb Cunningham.
Yeah, Josh, and we know he's taking this thing the distance, probably into closer to December. So I think we've been down this road before, you and I, where Caleb's coming off a visit, that school kind of grabs some momentum. That's why I said, it's great for Auburn. Auburn has their foot in the door. They're now a contender for one of the top playmakers this cycle in the 2025 class, but they still have a lot of work to do to secure not only his commitment, but signing obviously on December 4th. You know, they're up against some top schools starting in state with Ole Miss and Mississippi State. But we've been down this road where he's been to LSU and loved it, been to Alabama and loved it, been to Mississippi State and loved it, Florida State, Florida. You know, now Auburn, but Auburn obviously is the fresh school to get him on campus. Did a great job. Marcus Davis, Hugh Freeze kind of selling his development of DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown, guys he had at Ole Miss in the past. And Caleb obviously is looking for the right opportunity. Auburn now is the trending team. Mm-hmm. Can they hold on for the next 6 months? That's to be determined.
Yeah, I don't expect Auburn to hold this lead. I think Caleb Cunningham, like you said, takes some visits. I think we do see a new leader at some point, but this is still great news for Auburn. I mean, we know Hugh Freeze can go out and land a 5-star wide receiver, so I'm not discounting Auburn. I think there's going to be some ups and downs. We're going to see a new leader at some point, but a great sign for Auburn, especially if they can get him back on campus maybe before the season starts, and then again during the season. You know how it goes. We could see Auburn in the mix down the stretch. All right. Speaking of guys that like to take visits and name new leaders, Jamie French was on campus at LSU over the weekend, the 5-star wide receiver. It's all been about Texas for about the past month. And, hey, we even saw him in Nashville, and he was very high on Texas. But he did look forward to that LSU visit, and that visit was over the weekend. Do you think he's considering linking up with Bryce Underwood down there in the Bayou?
Oh, there's no doubt, Josh. There's no doubt he's considering playing with Bryce Underwood. A lot of guys would love to play with a quarterback like that for the next 3 or 4 years. And those guys know each other well. They spend a lot of time together in Nashville at the On3 Elite Series, and they've continued to build that relationship. And, you know, obviously Jamie has named now for, multiple weeks and multiple interviews that Texas is the top school. I think even leaving Nashville, for me on my end, talking to other people, I didn't think maybe Texas led as much as he made it sound like when he talked to the media and kind of gave his statements about top schools. But LSU did a great job over the weekend. Will Jamie come out and say, hey, they're his #1 school? We'll see. I think they are right there with Texas, if not a little bit above Texas, based on intel coming out of that trip to Baton Rouge. I mean, Hankton, Brian Kelly, the staff did a great job of showing the offense. I mean, talking Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, first-round draft picks from this past year, and the receiver production and getting the ball to the playmakers. I mean, they really checked a lot of boxes for Jamie, and Jamie's going into every visit with an open mind. Obviously, Texas did a great job. Chris Jackson, Steve Sarkisian, those guys are really doing a great job with French and his family. Family's very important, too, to Jamie French. How does his mom and stepdad feel? They felt very good in Baton Rouge. I can say that with confidence, and LSU really changed the momentum in this race.
All right, now we got another momentum shifter here when we talk about safety. Trey McNutt, the nation's #2 ranked safety in America. A lot of talk had been surrounding Ohio State, Oregon, and even Texas A&M, but this past weekend, I should say, he was out at USC, and it sounds like the Trojans might have a leg up on the competition now.
Yeah, I don't know if this was a true momentum changer, but I think USC grabbed the momentum early in the summer with this first official visit for Trey. Like you said, Texas A&M, Oregon, USC, 3 out-of-state schools that have been pretty strong in this race. And then Georgia's making a push, got him on campus in May. And, of course, he's an Ohio State legacy. He's been there 10-plus times. I think if you were to ask me or other experts in this industry a year ago, I think we would have said, 90, 95% locked to go to Ohio State. Over the last 6 months, he's taken trips out of state. He's built new relationships. He sees each school's pitch and plan for him. And I think I was told by a source, USC knocked it out of the park on this visit, just showing the plan, comparing him to Kyle Hamilton for the Baltimore Ravens. New DC coach Anton obviously made a big impression on Trey McNutt and really the presentation of just kind of, we know USC has an offensive juggernaut under Lincoln Riley. They want to bring guys in like Trey and a new scheme in to kind of make that defense equal to the offense to compete for a national championship. Trey sees that plan. He sees the opportunity, not just on the field, but off the field in Los Angeles to kind of build that brand, which we know is really big now in the NIL world for guys like Trey, who plays it up as good as anyone does. But I think overall, USC definitely picked up some traction here and is kind of taking the lead in this recruitment.
All right. Well, the next one, I think this one, and you might agree with me, this one is a true momentum shifter because Justin Hill, the edge from Ohio, thought he was leaning toward leaving the state. I mean, there's some picks going in for Alabama this spring. We know Oregon was involved, USC. But over the weekend, he took an official visit to the in-state Ohio Buckeyes. And coming out of it, Chad, it sounds like Justin Hill is trending to Ohio State.
Yeah, like McNutt, another Ohio native, and Ohio State would love nothing more than to keep him at home. I think they made a very strong presentation over the weekend, from Laurinaitis to Larry Johnson to Coach Knowles to Ryan Day. They sat down and showed him how he could be a linebacker, how he could be an edge rush guy, how he can get sacks off the edge, how he can play that jack position in Knowles' defensive scheme. And I think he had a couple of questions going in to this visit, and they answered every one with 100% accuracy. And just that presentation, I think, of showing him the fit, the plan, the scheme, and how he could be successful there in Knowles' defense, I think really put Ohio State in a very good position. He has the OV still to come with USC, Oregon, and Alabama. USC, I think outside looking in, Oregon's hanging around. The biggest one is Alabama. When he gets back to Tuscaloosa, can they take that momentum back? Because this weekend put Ohio State back in the driver's seat for Justin Hill.
Yeah, pretty interesting recruitment. Another major shift here. We're going to talk about safety Laganza Shady Hayward, top 150 prospect from Lyons, Georgia. And this is a shift because heading into this past weekend's visit, he was naming Tennessee's leader, but then he shows up in Athens. He spends 48 hours there, and you're hearing a much different story coming out of this one.
Yeah, this is probably the biggest momentum changer for me coming out of the weekend, just because he's been so Tennessee strong for months. I mean, Tennessee offered him early, as Hayward would tell me, like they got on him before all the stars came and before all the other offers jumped in. And that put Tennessee in a great spot many months leading up to this visit with Georgia. And Georgia really wasn't all that heavily involved until T-Rob went down. Travaris Robinson, secondary coach for Georgia, went down in the spring, saw him practice. Over the last month and a half, Georgia's really picked it up with Laganza. And really, he's an in-state kid from Jessup, Georgia, down south, and Lyons, Georgia, Toombs County, and he's become a high priority for Georgia. Georgia got him on campus, and again, really flipped the script with Hayward. I mean, I think Tennessee obviously is still very much involved. They get that final visit in June on the 21st. I think it's coming down to Tennessee versus Georgia. Georgia took advantage of getting him on campus for 48 hours. They hit it out of the park with Hayward and his family, the connections, the relationships, his time with the players, the scheme, player development. We know Georgia's a defensive team with Kirby Smart, Dante Williams, T-Rob. Those guys are all strong in the secondary. And Georgia comes out of the weekend as the favorite to land Hayward.
Just crazy. This is what happens during summer official visit season. Recruits take trips, they see some things, and recruitment start to change. So you guys let me know, comment section below, who won the first big weekend of official visit season, and also which one of these recruitments is going to land in your team's lap. Let me know, comment section below.